Venice, Venedig, Venezia, Città dell'Amore. Highly overrated or well worth a visit? Stay tuned to find out.
I am Marcus Fellbaum. I travel, I experience, and I create. This is my art.
The topic today is Venice. For my drawing, I chose to forego the usual gondola scene. Instead, I chose a Goliath Venetian house that shows perfectly, and there are many like it in town, the influence the Ottoman Empire had on Venetian culture. Of particular interest here is the style of the windows that were used. Venice is a city whose name is synonymous with romance, political intrigue, and ancient wealth. And I mean wealth, all caps. A city with a history that spans more than a millennium. It was built mostly on stilts on a handful of islands in a lagoon at the northern tip of the Adriatic, at a time when pillaging hordes were roaming the countryside. Putting some water between you and them seemed like a sound idea at the time. A place with this much mystique has its appeal, an appeal that is not lost on me. And so, for the past 30 years, I have been pining on and off to visit Venice. I came close once or twice, being in the vicinity, passing by, but never managed to arrange time in the sinking city. Now, this is it. Now that we live in London, we are close. Let's do it. We book a cheap flight and a 2-bedroom place. Arriving at Venice's Marco Polo Airport mid-afternoon, we make our way to the water transportation docks. We could have taken the bus, which uses the car bridge that connects Venice to the mainland. But hey, you're in Venice. Travel by water. We have a choice between the water taxi or water bus, also known as Ali Laguna. The water taxi would have cost around 130 euros one way. So we opt for the slower, but also half-price, water bus. The trip to Venice's Arsenale stop from the airport takes about an hour and a half. And this seems like a long time, but really you're floating by Venetian villas, cemeteries, parks. So it's island life. Leave the rush behind. Settle in for a nice, slow boat ride. During the boat trip, we sit next to an older couple who clearly have never been to Venice either. She is holding a top-end camera. He is armed with a handy video recorder. Every time we pass any view or anything that could be considered an attraction, both jump up, lean out of the open window and start digitizing their experience. Snap, snap, click, click, snap, snap, click. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating here. Heck, I brought a camera myself and I'm using it heavily. It just occurs to me that the two are experiencing Venice through the viewfinder, with only moments spent on looking at the real thing through their own eyes. No time to take it all in. I put my camera away, for now. Once we get off the boat, we meet our daughter's friend from Spain. He has made his own way from home, arriving a few hours before us. The lad is waiting for us, drenched in sun, stretched out on the pavement next to the lagoon, enjoying a, no doubt, much-deserved siesta. That young man knows how to live. Alright then, first impressions. First off, no cars. What a relief! My wife especially is reveling in this newly found tranquility. Her delight borders on giddiness. Anything that is transported here is moved by either handcart or boat. No honking, no sirens, no exhaust pipes. A wonderful change from London. Trash is collected every day except Sundays, which makes pickup by handcart feasible. And that brings me to the issue of cleanliness. For a city with this many tourists running through it every day, the place is remarkably clean. Also, we had been warned that Venice would be smelly because of the salt water and the canals. I remember one conversation in particular I had back in the States with a European expat. After I told her that we were heading to Europe and were also going to visit Venice, she told me that she would never go back there again. The panhandlers, the migrants, the filth. Venice? All you get is the stench from the canals. It's all gone to the dogs. Europe is falling apart. I would never go back. Well, I'm glad I took her advice with a grain of salt, because Venice, quite honestly, is perfectly lovely. We do not notice any smell. Funny that. You often meet people who will tell you how great or horrible a place is based on their limited experience. Bottom line here, don't let people put you off a place or a culture. Go and see for yourself. Make up your own mind. It might be a perfectly positive experience. So what about tourists, you say? I watched both the Anthony Bourdain and the Rick Steves show on Venice. Both mentioned that most tourists get stuck in the main paths that connect attractions. And this is absolutely true. But a step to the left or the right, often paralleling paths, the road less taken, and you can enjoy Venice's architecture in almost complete solitude. So whenever possible, we take the path that runs parallel to the main drag. We walk and we walk. Sometimes with only a loose destination in mind. Well, let's head towards the train station. Purposefully veering off, away from the crowds, getting lost, just letting a general sense of direction guide us. Yes, sometimes we walk down a path only to find that it dead ends in the canal. Anyone up for a swim? You're so funny. Everyone seems to be a comedian. So what? You hit a dead end. Go back, try the next path over. Non è un problema. Some of the walkways are, shall we say, on the narrow side. Single file, often a necessity. Some paths converge, getting narrower as you go along, but we are always able to squeeze out at the end. Some walls converge both horizontally and vertically, which makes Venice a questionable choice for those afflicted with claustrophobia. And what about food? Generally overpriced, no doubt. We go the traditional route, ordering primo and secundo courses and drinks. This, for the 5 of us, sets us back about 200 euros a meal. And I know this is a lot of money. Okay, we don't do this every day, so enjoy it while you can. After a mediocre meal the first evening, because we couldn't get into the pizzeria that was recommended, I use online resources to book tables at restaurantes that have good customer reviews. Our best meal is at Ristorante Alcorna. I have the fish of the day, which I get to pick myself from a display, and it is filleted tableside by the waiter who clearly knows what he is doing. A dying art, so I'm told. My wife takes the culinary adventuresome route and orders the cuttlefish cooked with pasta in its own ink, which turns the teeth black. We'll see if there will be kissing later. Maybe not. Meanwhile, our son is busy sucking brains out of some langoustine-like crustacean creature. Sounds like a horror show, but apparently really is a feast, if you are into that sort of thing. And yes, there are cheaper options for eating. You can get a sizable slice of economy pizza for 2 to 4 euros. It will fill you up and won't break the bank. After a while, we realize that this is the way to feed 5 hungry mouths at lunchtime. Alternatively, you can find a co-op or supermarket and get something out of their fridge. All of these are fine options. Eating in an Italian restaurant is part of our Italy experience, so that is what we're doing for dinners. Go and see the attractions, they say. On any of our trips, we typically don't do all the tourist attractions. As a matter of fact, we hardly do any of them. Go see some famous painting and take an underlit, out of focus picture of it? Nah. Dial it up on your internet browser. No lines, no 25 euro or more admission price, and you can look at the darn thing for as long as you like. Instead, we pick one place that we think will be most representative of Venice's history, looks most promising, and pay to get into that. In our case, this is the Palazzo Ducale, or Doge's Palace, which has been the seat of power for so many centuries. We spent about 3 hours walking from room to room, admiring gold-plated ceilings and tennis court-sized paintings of battles and depictions of heaven. Needless to say, Venice, or the Doge, are frequently shown as heavenly ordained and endorsed by God. No surprise there. Who's the top dog? That's right, we are the top dog. One day we get ourselves tickets for the water bus that connects some of Venice's many islands. We visit the island of Murano, famous for glass blowing, Burano, famous for lace making and colorful houses, and Torcello, famous for Venice's oldest church. It is touristy, and there are a lot of people doing the same thing, but it was still worth the experience. The rest of the time we walk the less traveled paths of Venice. When our feet start to hurt, we stop in one of the many piazzas, sit down at a cafe. I take a liking to Negronis, made of 1 part gin, 1 part vermouth rosso, and 1 part Campari, all garnished with an orange peel. Sounds like the combination shouldn't work, but it does, in a slightly bitter, a little less sweet and absolutely refreshing way. We skipped the 100 to 150 euro gondola ride, by the way. We feel we are seeing plenty of the canals from the many bridges we cross. Yeah, but what about romance, you ask? Well, if you must. So, Venice, is it worth going? Does it live up to the hype? In my opinion, absolutely. The city oozes old world charm. Stay off the beaten path and avoid the long lines to get into the predictable tourist traps. Walk, explore, rest, take 3 hours for dinner, linger, take it all in. Have a Negroni or 2. You can't go very wrong. As always, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Till next time.